Well, Shabbat Shalom once again. Last week, I spent Shabbat at Niagara Falls. It was my first trip to the falls and my children's first adventure there too, so we did it all. The Maid of the Mist boat ride, the Cave of the Winds excursion, the walking tours on both the New York and Canadian sides, you name it, we conquered it. We sailed beneath and climbed alongside these roaring cascades, and yes, in the process, we got wet. Very, very wet. It was thrilling and exhilarating and oh so breathtaking. The moving water hypnotized me, and I stood for what felt like hours just watching it pour endlessly over the cliffs again and again and again. I couldn't look away. I aspire to view the world the way I viewed Niagara Falls, with patient focus and rapt attention, with unrushed curiosity and care. But I'll admit, I don't typically view the world that way. I don't always notice or pay attention to what's around me. I'm not always so aware or present. I often see only what I need to see. And frankly, I end up missing everything else. For these lapses, I am regretful. But I find that the busyness of life makes this kind of thoughtful observation difficult. With our jam-packed agendas and our to-do lists, there's often no time to stop and look at the roses. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav commented on this phenomenon with a now famous story, which you might have heard. It was said that from the Rebbe's window facing the marketplace, he saw one of his followers rushing by. "Have you looked at the sky this morning?" the Rebbe asked. "Oh, no, Rebbe," answered the man. "I haven't had the time." "Dear student," said the Rebbe, "believe me when I say in 50 years, everything you see here will be gone. There will be another fair with other horses, other wagons, different people. I won't be here then, and neither will you. So what's so important that you don't have time to look up at the sky?" As busy as the Rebbe's students were then, so are we now, if not more so. And when is the last time we really looked up at the sky? When is the last time we even looked up from our phones? The truth is, as we're making our way through life, we generally don't lift our eyes to see what's above. We don't look up to see the birds soaring overhead. We often don't even look up to see the person standing next to us on the corner. We glide through life, often blind, with only the scantest field of vision before us. Most of us have grown used to it, this walking sightless. This morning, as we listened, as student Rabbi Dubin beautifully read from Parashat Re'eh, a word meaning look, see, take notice. Our portion, which comes from the book of Deuteronomy, frequently coincides with the beginning of Elul, the month of introspection preceding the high holidays. Today is Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of the month, and the beginning of that journey inwards, when we examine our deeds with integrity and review our lives with unbridled honesty. Our portion, aptly named Re'eh, or See, calls upon us at this critical moment in our Jewish calendar to open our eyes and pay attention. If not now, as Hillel would say, when? Re'eh, we are asked. to open our eyes to see the world around us, to look up at the sky and clouds and trees, as Rabbi Nachman urged, to pay attention to this world of beauty and wonder all around us, a world that gets lost when our focus is directed at the screen in our hands. But today, as we hear the phrase, re'eh, look, pay attention, take note, I want us to think not of the world outside, but the world within, and God's command to see the complex emotional landscapes of our souls. During this month of Elul, our inner worlds take precedence as we begin the work of Cheshbon HaNefesh, the spiritual accounting of our souls. Now is the time to look within, to gauge where we've missed the mark and determine how to repair those breaches. And now is the moment to open our eyes to see our truest selves, to uncover and discover who we really are and who we hope to become. Looking at ourselves unadorned and unfiltered is not only hard, but often scary. As Rabbi Jonah of Gerona writes, one must ask oneself, what have I done? What have I become? Asking these questions of ourselves can be painful, explains Rabbis Kariolitsky and Rachel T. Sabbath. And so we often shy away from looking at the parts of ourselves that are wounded or raw. And even more so, we avoid examining the parts that are angry or aggrieved. It's upsetting to sit with this kind of pain, incredibly challenging to realize we're broken. But the truth is, we're all broken in one way or another. We're all flawed. And each of us is a composite of good and bad, harsh and kind, generous and greedy. Beginning this process of self-examination, of Cheshbon HaNefesh, means seeing, really seeing all of these traits as parts of the whole, acknowledging that we hold multitudes, as Walt Whitman might say. Rabbis Kariolitsky and Rachel T. Sabbath put it this way: we need to review our lives completely, without flinching, recognizing that there might be moments that horrify us, exchanges that shame us, and habits that absolutely confound us. Moreover, there will be wounds that throb even still, scars that have yet to heal. We will see in ourselves pain and hurt and suffering too. And at the end of the day, we all have aspects of our lives we'd prefer no one see. But now is the time to flood those places with light rather than shove them back into the darkness. If the notion of exposing our wounds feels deeply unnerving, you are not alone. Just listen to these words written by the late Chaim Stern of blessed memory. He writes, God, help me to see especially those things that I need to see that make me uncomfortable. And remember this, our brokenness may be a source of heartache or humiliation for us, but it is not a deterrent for God. In fact, we are taught that though people cannot work with broken tools, all of God's tools are broken. Every single last one of them. God sees all of our deficiencies with the clearest and most lucid of eyes, and God embraces us regardless. We need not be afraid of looking into the depths of our being or searching the inner workings of our souls. We are all on this spiritual journey together, gazing inwards alongside one another, helping each other to see, to heal, and to grow. When I think back to that moment in Niagara, when I first set eyes on those astounding waterfalls, I am reminded of one last teaching from our tradition. We learn that the act of gazing, of looking deeply at something, is a skill to be praised. To gaze upon something with intention and patience and purpose is lauded as a sign of steadiness, humility, and leadership. Take Moses, for example, and his experience at the burning bush. Writes Rabbi Lawrence Kushner, the burning bush was not a miracle. It was a test. God wanted to find out whether or not Moses could pay attention to something for more than a few minutes. When Moses did, God spoke. Moses is rewarded because he takes the time to truly look at this burning bush, to focus on its flames and stare at the greenery that goes unconsumed. He gazes carefully and thoughtfully, and he sees what God intends him to see, and he is rewarded with the role of a lifetime. Our challenge today, then, on this Rosh Chodesh Elul and every day of this high holiday season is to re'eh, to look at our lives, our choices, our failings, our hopes, our dreams, our visions, and to hold our gaze steady, as if we were Moses looking at the burning bush or a tourist staring into Niagara Falls. This process of cheshbon hanefesh is not about quick glances or half-hearted glimpses. It is about committing ourselves to looking, really looking deeply at who we are, where we are, and what we hope to become. And the reward for keeping that gaze like Moses, well, that is for you to discover as Elul turns to Tishrei and the high holidays arrive once more. As we begin this month of Elul, may we all have the courage to look at our lives with bravery, honesty, and compassion. And may we move forward knowing we will tackle this challenge together, opening our hearts, laying bare our souls, examining our frailties, and confronting our shortcomings as one community together. Amen.